Liam Crowley of The Direct here with one of the fastest rising actresses in Hollywood at the moment. She steals scenes in front of the camera and is now dipping her toes in behind the scenes work as well. You know her from We're the Millers, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and if you're a DCOM junkie like me, Avalon High, one of the leading stars and executive producers of the upcoming horror film Agnes. It's Molly Quinn. Molly, thank you so much for taking the time to chat today.
Thank you, Liam. That was an amazing introduction.
Hey, that's
Avalon
what
High, huh?
right. I'm a big fan. Me and my friends love all the Disney Channel original movies, and they're gonna go crazy when they find out I was able to chat with one of the actresses.
Well, I had a great time on that movie. I was really excited because the director, he did the third installment of the Ninja Turtles series, Turtles in Time, which was like my favorite movie. And he actually signed my DVD. I brought it all the way to New Zealand and he signed it for me and everything. So great memories.
That's really special. Well, I want to talk about Agnes to start. It's obviously coming out in December and it had a big run at film festivals earlier in the summer. I'm just curious off the bat, how did this project come to be? Because you're wearing many hats in this film as an executive producer and as a leading actress.
Yeah, so I was producing our first film with my production company, Quagmire, that will be coming out soon. And while I was working on that, we had Divide Conquer as our partners. And I was talking to one of those guys and was saying, you know, we're trying to see like what we want to do next. Like, I really want to star in something. I really want it to be something different. And Adam Hendricks is his name. He got this look in his eye and he was like, okay, I might have something for you. And so he sends me two things. He sends me the script for Agnes and a link to Climate of the Hunter, which was Mickey Reese's movie that he directed the previous year, and it played Fantastic Fest. So I read the script and was really shocked by it. You know, like it didn't follow any type of normal formula. So as a producer, I was really excited about that because we want to do genre, you know, like we really love horror. And looking for things in horror that are just slightly different, you know, is a challenge. And it's a challenge that like we're up for, but you don't always get to read material that makes you scratch your head. And that's what Agnes did. And then as an actor, it was almost like a soul bond, even on the page with Mary. Like I really connected with her, what's the word I'm looking for? Her fear. Like she's a chicken, like she's running from her past. She's not dealing with her shit. And I connected to that from my own past. So I sent the script to my partners, Alon and Matthew, and sat down to watch Climate of the Hunter and was really impressed that Mickey had made that movie for only, oh my gosh, I think they made that movie for $100,000 or less. And it was really incredible. Like it's not possible. It's not possible to make a movie nowadays for that little amount of money. So, you know, color me impressed. So we thought if we could raise just a little bit more and use his incredible crew, his DP, Samuel Calvin, his set designer, Caitlin Shelby, like incredible talent. If we could use them and just pull a couple favors from our LA friends and actors to come in, we might kind of have the perfect collage of talent. So.
Well, hey, that's all wonderful to hear. And you mentioned something particularly interesting about having something new in the horror genre. From the marketing material alone, if people just read the synopsis about a horror movie involving nuns, it does seem very familiar. So how did you approach it? It sounds like from the script alone, you knew that this was something distinct, but when it came to acting it out and producing as well, how did you really emphasize those unique aspects?
That's a great question. It really was a gamble. We weren't exactly sure how to do that. We wanted to kind of lull the audience into a sense of false security with this very normal type of horror setup, you know, nuns, convent, possession. It's like the warm blanket of horror, like, you know what you're going to get. And then halfway into the movie, we just wreck the vehicle, right? We just take you in a completely different direction. And we weren't exactly sure how we were going to market that. But luckily, partnering with Magnolia, they knew exactly what to do. And I think our materials really reflect that. You get the comfort, we lure you in with the nunsploitation, fun tables moving and things flying around. And then hopefully you're invested enough in the characters that when we make that hard left, you stick around. If anything, just out of confusion, because you want to know what the hell is going on.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that that's something that is very heavily hinted at in the trailer specifically. And I'm excited to see it actually executed in the film itself. We mentioned at the top, you're wearing multiple hats in this film. You're starring, but also producing. And at least according to your IMDb, this is your first time executive producing, the big part of producing, the one that requires the most amount of work. How did you balance time between being in front of the screen and behind the camera? And was it ever at all overwhelming, or did it always feel natural to you?
Wow, that's so interesting, because it was overwhelming the entire time, but it also felt natural. I think when you're producing indie films, it's all hands on deck. You are really doing everything. Luckily, I have my two amazing partners, so we were able to share the load of our producing duties, which really helped when I had to be in front of the camera. But every day it was, I showed up before my call. I helped scenes get set up. I talked with Samuel about like what we were going to shoot that day. And then as actors started to come in, we would discuss the material. And basically every day we rewrote scenes. So, because that was my favorite thing about hiring these incredibly talented people that we know, Sean Gunn, Chris Sullivan. We said to them, this is what's on the page, but we want you to make it your own. So we just 10 minutes before would go through, and if it felt right, we would keep it. But most of the time we just found ways to keep making it better, which is why I think the movie almost takes on this Pilgrim's Progress type of journey, because it's just Mary interacting with these very large people, and how it's almost like a game of ping pong. Like they're just tossing her around back and forth. Like she almost has no control. She's really out of control. And I think maybe the chaos of that helped me on screen, because it was constantly working with everyone and wanting all of the pieces of the movie to be unique, but also fit together. And I think Mary is just going through that same thing of interacting with these big people and not really having time to rest. I guess I'm kind of trying to justify my lack of sleep and total exhaustion while making the film.
I love that reflection, though, that it kind of perfectly married with your character of Mary on screen, having that chaotic mindset. That's really interesting to hear. You do have
just thought about that. So there you go.
There we go. Hey,
thank you.
That's what we'll roll with. That sounds perfect. You do have two more producing credits scheduled for 2022, both Marzipan and then Lovely, Dark and Deep. This obviously seems like something you kind of fell in love with. So is producing something you're hoping to make a regular aspect of your career moving forward?
Absolutely. I came to LA with my heart set on acting, and my heart will always be in acting. But, just like I think with a lot of people, when you're young, you're laser focused. You think about one aspect of the thing you want to do. And then if you're lucky enough to start doing it, you meet all these other people that are involved in the process. So I didn't know what a producer was when I started acting. And then I met producers. I met female producers that were, just bad bitches. They were in charge of the entire thing. And they really inspired and like nurtured me to do it myself, which I really appreciate, especially now. And those women are still helping me. Lori Zacks, who produced Castle, is still who I go to. She's absolutely my mentor when it comes to producing. And I can't wait to keep doing it. Lovely, Dark and Deep was such a special film to be able to make. We loved Teresa Sutherland's script, and we loved her previous film, The Wind. So giving her the opportunity to direct her first feature, just, it was exhilarating, you know, and there's something, that's really the best word for it. There's something really exhilarating about working with other creatives and helping, you know, in the small way we can, give other artists the chance to do their art, you know. So I want to do it forever, and I want to keep acting forever, you know. It's they really fit nicely together for me.
Yeah, there is a good synergy between producing and acting, and I have seen that with many actors in the game for a long time. But the films that you are producing seem to be more festival darlings. You say indie films as well. You did star in quite a bit of blockbusters early on in your career. Where the Millers comes to mind, Guardians 2, most recently Doctor Sleep. Are blockbusters something you're expecting to go back to eventually, or are you just kind of loving the indie side right now?
I mean, who doesn't want to do a blockbuster? You know, that would be amazing. I hope we get to do that. One thing that I think is interesting about Quagmire that we want to do, and may more confine us to the festival darling indie space, is we really want to do things that are quirky. We really want to do things that start a conversation. Like with Agnes, I expect a lot of people not to like it. And I want them to fight about it. I want them to talk about it. I want people to be angry, and I want there to be fights and conversations about it. You know, those are the type of movies that I want us to make, because anytime I've had the opportunity to watch those kind of films, I love the debate that rises from them. So as a company, we want to keep doing that. And hopefully, as we grow, we'll get to bring that to more of the blockbuster space. But at the end of the day, as long as we keep doing that, as long as we keep making divisive films, then I'll be happy.
Yeah, that's all people can ask for at the end of the day, is to generate conversation. We are a very comic book heavy movie website, so I do have to ask you a couple Marvel related questions, absolutely. But Guardians Volume 2, you had a very small role as Howard's date. I'm just kind of curious about your experience on set. James Gunn is a director who's known to just kind of bring his friends along just to have a cameo here and there. How did that role come to be, and are you hoping to maybe do more work with James in the future?
Oh my gosh. I mean, of course, who doesn't want to do more work with James? You know, James is one of my best friends. He's how my fiance and production partner, Alon Gale, and I met. We were actually just in Atlanta visiting him, and his partner, Jen, had a great time in Atlanta. You know, James makes movies that no one else makes. You know, I really admire what he does to every genre that he touches. And I think the incredible thing about getting to be on set for Volume 2 was the scale. It's massive. No one makes movies like that anymore. It's just huge. I mean, we were on a stage. They had built the entire planet, like all of those were rooms you could go in and out of. All the neon was custom made. There were snow machines and real snow on the ground. Like so little of it was actually CGI. Like so much of it was practical. And that was just, I mean, it's like being a kid. It's like truly seeing movie magic. And the part, you know, was really just James being a best friend, you know, like Alon, my now fiance and partner, like I said, I was going with him because he was going to be in the movie. And then James saw that I was there with him and said, "Oh, do you want to be in it too?" And what are you going to say? No. I was like, "Yes, please put me anywhere." So getting to do that little part with Howard the Duck, of course, voiced by Seth Green, who is also a longtime friend, was just a treasure. You know, it's a total delight. And man, if I get really lucky and get to do more with James or more in the MCU, I mean, yes, please. Like I would be so happy to do more.
What's funny is your story kind of mirrors. I chatted with David Yarovesky a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah,
who's
yeah,
also a close friend of James, and he
yeah.
mentioned basically the same thing. He was in town for Guardians Volume 1, and James was like, "Oh, here's a Ravager costume. You could have a role in a cameo." And it's cool to hear those kind of stories. One of the blockbusters I mentioned early in your career were The Millers. You starred opposite Will Poulter. Speaking of Guardians, he's obviously got a big role in Volume 3. He was just cast as Adam Warlock. You mentioned you're close with James. Did you talk to James at all about casting Will? And just in general, what's your reaction to him getting such a big role in the third film?
Extremely happy. I love Will. I've loved Will since he was in an indie film called The Son of Rambo, which I saw and fell in love with him when I was like 13 years old. So when we tested together for We're the Millers, I was so kind of on edge and excited, Twitter pated to like be in the same room with him, that I actually didn't do very well. I didn't book We're the Millers. I was a replacement. I was the
Wow.
second girl. Yeah. So I was real lucky that I got a second chance to come in and be in that movie. And absolutely love the experience. James, he did ask me like how my experience working with Will was. I think he asked a couple other people as well, because James is great about just, checking everyone's reference. Cause, like you said with Yarvo, he wants to work with his friends. And if he's working with new people, he wants them to become friends. You know what I mean? And I only have glowing things to say about Will. And normally when James asks me about this or that actor, I'll let it go. Like I don't follow up, but I was so excited that he was asking about Will that a couple days later I was like, who got it? Like, who is it? Is it Will? And he was like, yeah, it's Will. And I was like, oh yeah, it's Will. So I couldn't be happier. I really couldn't be happier for him. And I hope they have an amazing time filming.
Yeah, everyone is super ecstatic about him in the role. People are already having like the fan art and everything, and it's really, really cool to see. As a general question, I know you've already had a role in the MCU technically as Howard State. You're in the canon per se. But we just saw this past November, Gemma Chan return to the MCU after playing, I believe it was Minerva in Captain Marvel. Now she was kind of recast as Cersei in Eternals, so she's kind of played two roles. Do you have any dream Marvel roles that you'd like to take on one day?
Oh my gosh. I mean, yes. I'm trying to think about which ones are my favorite. Um, I love Spider-Man. I love especially like original Spider-Man was like one of
Mhm.
my favorite movies. Um, I always wanted the opportunity to play Mary Jane. I really did. So if that ever came around, I think I would be really happy. But to be completely honest, I think any character in the MCU is freaking badass. And I would just be so happy to play anything. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing not to love. So it kind of makes it hard to pick.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people do say, but it's like it's such a giant franchise that just to be involved in it in any way is a dream come
Yeah,
true.
it's like you're saying, do you want a slice of delicious cake, a delicious cookie, a delicious brownie? It's like, I don't know. They all sound fantastic. Please just give me something.
Honestly, yeah, who can complain at that? Before we wrap things up, I did mention it in the intro, and just personally, I want to ask about Avalon High. 20, I believe 13, very early 2010s, Disney Channel original movie made for television, yet all DComs kind of have like a cult classic following to them. And now that they're all streaming again on Disney Plus, I have seen a bit of a resurgence to the early DCom movies gaining popularity once again now with younger audiences. Do you feel that at all with Avalon High? And what does that film just mean to you in your career?
Well, it's so funny because you know, when shows that you've been in play in different countries, there's like discrepancy in payment. So you get these like tiny checks from all different parts of the world, for 50 cents, 20 cents, things like that. And I was opening one of those checks and I expected it to be Castle because, I'm so lucky it plays all around the world. And the first thing was Avalon High in Switzerland. And I was like, huh, like, I guess it's just playing again. So like that warmed my heart. So I am noticing it. I'm noticing this resurgence of the movie. And what did it mean to me at the time? At the time, I was really happy. You know, I had auditioned for the lead 3 times, and didn't get it, and was really bummed. And then they called me back to audition for the supporting character, and it was just this monologue. It's the monologue that she says to the lead when she's explaining why she had been with Lance. And you know, so I got to act. You know, like I got to do what I really loved to do, and was really at that time finding, which was less than being a lead, more so getting to do character work. You know, and so that actually meant a lot to me, and I think changed my perception of like how I wanted my career to go. And getting to work with that cast was really lovely. The opportunity to travel to New Zealand, like that was a huge selling point for me. I was like, yeah, like I don't care what I do in this movie, like I just want to go to New Zealand. So I had a great time there, and yeah, because it's funny because it kind of ties back to Agnes in a way, because whereas Agnes is a movie that I put myself in, it all kind of stems from Avalon High, and this idea of doing things that people don't necessarily expect me to do. You know, getting to do those bigger emotions for a Disney movie of the week. You know, because they didn't do a lot of that. You don't have a lot of like real drama and conflict, you know, so getting to do that kind of role showed me what I really love. So it was actually incredibly impactful.
Wow. Well, that's really, really wonderful to hear. I can't think of a better question to end this on. Molly, thank you so much for taking the time to chat today. I just kind of want, if you can give us a general tease of your 2022 projects. I know a lot of them are still being kept under wraps in terms of like details and whatnot. But what can we expect from you in both December and the new year?
Well, December 10th, Agnes drops. So we're super excited about that. I hope everyone watches it and fights about it and argues about it and loves it. And then I'll tell you, you'll be seeing a lot of me coming up. There's going to be a lot of me around, and I'm feeling like super grateful about that. I can't wait to see the first cut of Lovely, Dark and Deep and start getting that out to festivals. Yeah, so I'm really excited for Quagmire and for things I'm doing as an actor. It's gonna be a good year.
2022. We can't wait. Molly Quinn, thank you so much.
Thank you, Liam.